guys? Welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over this great comeback slash husband has the last laugh story that was sent in from a subscriber. It's about a guy who truly does have the last laugh after his wife of many years and mother to his kids, out of nowhere, lets him know that not only was she cheating on him, but she wants to divorce him. And she absolutely tries to ruin this guy and take him to the cleaners. However, as it turns out, thanks to a good friend of this guy giving him a kick in the pants and him finding the strength that he never knew he had, he went down a path to turn things around where it was she who got taken to the cleaners. And let me tell you, this guy now is thriving, last laugh, in her life, not so much. And nobody's going to feel bad for her. And that'd be a great story to cover, given that there are a lot of guys out there that may, in various degrees, be dealing with this right now. You must know that no matter how bad of a divorce you're going through or things are bad in your marriage, you do have the strength within you that you never knew you had, especially if you're a worn down type of guy, and it happens, to pull yourself out of the hole and really make a life for yourself, a new life, and turn things around. I cannot stress that enough. And this story has other couple important themes too I'm going to go over real quick. Also, how there's a lot of guys out there, like this guy, who on again, off again throughout their lives, because they were worn down, they had a bad family life growing up and made to feel worthless, they can tend to be pushovers, get involved with the wrong people, make friends with the wrong people. And it's so important why, if you have a bad family situation like that, you got to get out of it and distance yourself, because it's going to have a ripple effect in your life. And last but not least, and this is very important, this story actually is not sent in from that guy. This story has been sent in with his permission from a good friend of his, one of our 4%ers, female subscribers. She, and obviously because she likes the channel, she's a friend of ours. This guy was a friend of hers. They maintained a friendship since high school. They would talk maybe once a year. And this guy, and she's been a big help to him. And she's the one that gave him the kick in the pants to help him get through the divorce and take that gal down. But you'll see in this story, although our gal here means well, this guy definitely could have used the consultation from an experienced man. I say all the time, don't go to women about dating advice, pickup advice, relationship advice. Go to an experienced man, because not all women are going to see and understand certain things that guys do. And although she's did her darndest to help him, there are times he could have benefited from somebody else. But a lot of guys naturally go to women for advice because it seems logical. It's not. You don't ask a fish how to catch a fish. You ask a fisherman. You all know my point. But anyhow, you'll see as I get into this whole story here. So the first part, she's going to go into how she became friends with this guy and all that, and then we get into the meat and potatoes of the story and the comeback. She says here, "Dear SSM, I'd like to share a story about a man I will call Michael. For some background here, I went to a private high school. My boyfriend at the time and his friends went to the local public high school. A group of them decided to go away for a long weekend to a large estate that was available to rent. My boyfriend asked if I wanted to come along. The estate was pretty, but the accommodations were minimal. We bunked in 2 separate bunkhouses off to the estate and had to bring everything with us. Sleeping bags, pillows, food, toiletries, etc. Girls in one bunkhouse, guys in another. I'm not sure I'm buying that. A bunch of probably seniors in high school where the girls are in one location and the guys in the other. I don't know if I'm buying that, honey. But okay, maybe you're all an exceptional group. I don't know. There was a common space with a kitchen, tables, chairs, etc. and living room with some questionably shabby furniture. It wasn't a big group, maybe a dozen of us, and everybody was polite and respectful. It was like a camp for geeks. No drugs, no alcohol, or shenanigans like that. We arrived on a Friday morning and left on Monday. Okay, maybe you were the high school nerds that got together. I don't know. There was no booze and drugs and all that. You slept in separate places. Who knows? Whatever. To each their own. But I still have a hard time buying that. Somebody was fucking somebody else. I noticed that while Michael was courteous and always willing to help out when it came to bringing in supplies and furniture and all, he would retreat into his shell when that evening came or when a group of us were gathering in the common area to chat. I also noticed that despite being extremely tall and good looking, he was frightfully skinny. There is skinny and then there's frightfully skinny. My instincts told me something was very wrong. Well, unless he was an ectomorph and had incredibly high metabolism, there's probably something in his family life. Well, by Saturday evening, I was resolved I was not going to let him retreat back into the shell again. If I was mistaken that something was wrong, I would chalk it up to being overreactive imagination. If I was right, then someone would need to be alerted to help. My boyfriend and a few of our friends got together for a marathon of Dungeons and Dragons. I took the opportunity to get to know Michael. Okay, so obviously, this is all being genuinely kind. This isn't like her becoming friends with a guy, and that's not good. I stand by what I say. Men and women can't be friends. You know, as long as there's attraction, it's never going to work. And frankly, your girl shouldn't be talking to, hanging out with other dudes, but you'll see that this is a scenario where it wasn't ever crossed, so that's good. It took many hours of talking, cracking jokes, and sharing stories before Michael started to open up. The group finished their game and went to bed. Michael and I stayed in the common area, speaking alone. I kept pushing food at him, pretending I was hungry, having to take tiny bites to avoid stuffing myself while continuously refilling his plate. He finally broke down in the early hours of the morning, and I will not violate his confidence, but let's just say that sometimes the prettiest homes hide the ugliest secrets. There you go. Bad family life, and it screwed this guy up. It was the first time he felt comfortable sharing with anybody about his life and what it was like. When I asked if he wanted to tell anybody in position of authority, he refused. He'd be heading off to college soon, and once he graduated, he'd be completely free. I feel bad for anybody that grows up in a bad, abusive family environment. You should get the far fuck away from those people as possible. The problem is that, guys, and maybe some of you know this, these things will carry on usually for life. It is very hard to shake off childhood shit. Well, we stayed in contact by phone sporadically for the rest of our senior year, and I wished him only the best when he left for college. He would stop by and visit annually when he came home for the summer break, and it was like we had just seen each other yesterday. I was happy to see him, and he was putting in some meat on his bones, and he was looking healthier. So you guys had like a brother and sister friendship. Okay, I'm going to base it on that. There was never anything romantic between the two of us. Despite us being the same age, I saw him more as a younger brother, and he saw me as a sibling he never had. I was his confidant, his therapist, someone he could go to without fear of repercussions. Well, that's good for things in a certain area, but now no guy should ever make his girlfriend his therapist. I make that abundantly clear, and you weren't his girlfriend. Fair enough, you were helping him out. But when it comes to relationships and dating women, you should not be his confidant, his Yoda for advice. No. Don't get me wrong. There are women out there that get some elements to things, but always go with a guy. True to his plan, he moved away. Michael went on to have a successful career in sales, married his wife Beth, not a real name, and fathered 2 young sons. I eventually met and married my beloved husband. We started our family and also moved away from my husband's job. Well, Michael and I kept in touch over the phone about once a year. We catch up, share the most interesting life milestones, and laugh about the crazy things that our children did. Michael was promoted into a senior management position, made excellent money, and moved into a larger house. By every benchmark, his life was golden. However, the Christmas card family pictures showed he was frightfully thin again. Okay, so here we go. So obviously when he's under deep stress and pressure and all that, he doesn't eat. Just like growing up. And she can pick up on this, because probably some people wouldn't. A few years later, I got a call on a Friday evening that changed everything. Michael had left his high-paying job and had taken a much lower-paying job at his wife's request. Smack! What the hell? Are you nuts? She was probably whining and complaining that he's never around, and he did that for her. Never do that. You can see, push over to his wife. His former job required frequent travel and long hours. Beth wanted him to be home, and more now that the boys were getting older. He had stopped running and working out, stopped playing the guitar, stopped doing the things that had brought him joy because, according to Beth, he wasn't doing enough at home. I'm sure he was going above and beyond for his family, given the high-paying job providing that lifestyle. Now, don't get me wrong, if a husband is not around very much, yeah, I can understand a wife being lonely and missing him, and children do need their father around, but you're going to see this wife of his, Beth, is a Beth the bitch. He could feel the distance growing between them and wanted to know what he should do to reignite their marriage. Okay, here we go. So he's gone to her, our 4%er here, for advice. Relationship advice, marriage advice, how to reignite the marriage. An experienced man would say, number 1, you should have married this chick. Number 2, you should have left your job for her. 3, there's a lot more going on here. But we'll see how our making my point, although she meant well, what happened. I'll be honest, SSM, it never occurred to me that she'd be cheating. It would have occurred to me. It would have occurred to a lot of guys watching this. To call cheaters lower than pond scum is an insult to pond scum. As a working mother myself at the time, I knew that it was not easily wrangling a passel of kids, a demanding career, pets, a house, and keeping my husband happy. I generally thought they were just hitting a rough patch. Well, given how he was being a pushover to her, and given how she's bossing him around and other things, and I don't get the whole picture here. I could see just from that alone. But I've been doing this a long time. I know when life got overwhelming with my husband and we felt distant, we would stop, take time for ourselves, and go spend a quick weekend somewhere reconnecting. I naively believed that a romantic weekend getaway, a chance to decompress, make lots of love, and reconnect would help. Michael thought it was a good idea too. Smack! Shouldn't have went to you about that. Make lots of love. Come on here. I've never met any woman that says that she wants... Really? No. Make love? No. They won't have their brains fucked out. You fucking know it and I know it. Come on. You don't have to sugarcoat it for the guys here. No, a romantic weekend away with Michael and Beth is not a good idea because she doesn't want to be romantic with Michael. She doesn't respect Michael. Michael has made mistakes, but Michael's a good guy, but she's an a-hole. Well, the getaway never happened. Shocker. His call was a harbinger of things to come. Well, the hot water heater at their house stopped working that Monday, and Michael arranged to have it repaired. The plumber told him they wouldn't be available to make it work until Wednesday morning. On Tuesday, Beth complained that she wasn't feeling very well and stayed home from work. About an hour into working on Tuesday, Michael got a call from the plumber letting him know that they had an opening and could be at the house by noon. Not wanting to bother his sick wife or have strangers in the house when Beth wasn't feeling well, he took off work and agreed to meet the plumber at the house. Here we go. How many stories have I covered where guys discovered the truth because they suddenly had to come home from work early or came home from a business trip or something like that early? All you guys watching this that are married and in relationships should come home early every once in a while. I highly encourage it. You may not like what you find, but at least you find out the truth. Well, he parked on the street to leave the driveway open for the plumber's van and passed by his front bedroom window on the way to the door. Not only did he hear, but he saw his wife getting nasty with the married neighbor from down the street. I'm sorry for Michael, but I'm not surprised. His whole world fell apart. He canceled the plumber and left. He drove to the nearest park and broke down. Totally understandable. I'm glad he didn't break down in front of her. He pulled himself together again, and by the time he returned home that night, he put on the happy face for his kids. After the boys went to bed, Beth wanted to talk. She advised that she was unhappy and wanted a divorce. Well, at least there's no dancing around the issue. Not happy. I guarantee you, a chick like this is never happy. She assured him that she and her attorney would drop a fair settlement agreement, and she wanted everything to be amicable for the children. Yeah, when I first read this, my bullshit alarm was going off like the fucking sirens and shit that I hear in these videos all the time. Sure, honey. Michael left to clear his head. Instead, he left to call me. I was horrified to discover his wife was a miserable WHORE who had betrayed such a good man, and she had generally already launched an attack by engaging an attorney. But when I heard the defeat in his voice, how he was actually entertaining her bullshit proposal, I lost it. I said to him, "Are you fucking insane?" I raised for the phone. You will do no such thing. There you go. Now you're acting like a dude. That's what he needs to hear. Men can't be coddled. We don't need to be coddled. Men need a kick in the ass. A verbal and sometimes physical kick in the ass. That's why I smack guys on this channel when they act like dumbasses. You see how worn down Michael is? He was going to go along with her plan because he's just so worn down. I instructed him to find the most ferocious attack dog attorney he could go and go for the jugular. Give no quarter, I said. The marriage is over. The bitch was lying, and she's a manipulative SLUT, and you need to fight for every penny in full custody of the kids. Hey, freaking men. Did he really want his sons raised by a lying, manipulative SLUT? Did he want all the money that he had slaved to earn, his savings, his house, to go to her and her sleazy, cheating scumbag lover? The wealth was for him, his sons, not them. Well, I couldn't agree more, but sadly, it usually ends up having the guy screwed. Now, I don't know if you're in a no-fault divorce state or not, but it was the first time in our long friendship that I ever raised my voice to him. Well, he needed it. Good. I knew he was in pain, that this SLUT had just nuked his whole world, but I needed to dig deep and be strong. If not for him, then for his sons. Yes. Amen. His sons were his whole world, and I pushed him to focus on them, fight for them, live for them. That piece of shit of a wife used them as a weapon to manipulate him. I could sense it. He needed to take that power away from her. Yes, absolutely. And here's the part where Michael finds the strength, as that strength is in all of us. Well, hear that? Thank the Lord, spring is coming close. We need the freaking rain down here in Florida. And all my Florida brothers know there's a big drought going on here, and you can hear the thunder. A welcome, thank you, thunder. Thankfully, Michael followed my advice. He interviewed several attorneys and found a marvelous, vicious bulldog. He followed his attorney's advice to the letter. When Beth told him to leave the house, he told her to get out instead. When Beth tried to poison the boys against him, he told them a watered-down version of the truth that shut her up. Good. I'm glad he told his sons the truth. I don't know how old they are. I'm guessing they're probably teenagers. They got to know. Beth didn't know that Michael had seen her screwing the married neighbor and was flabbergasted when he confronted her with it. Too bad he didn't get his camera out. He cleaned out their accounts, opened new ones under his name only, canceled her off his credit cards, and more. It was a glorious legal blitzkrieg. Hey, freaking men. When Michael, Beth, and their attorneys met, Beth's attorney presented a settlement agreement. Okay, here we go. Listen to this amicable settlement agreement that her attorney offered. The greedy bitch wanted everything. The house, the kids, 70% of his retirement, and money in the bank. Child support and alimony. So much for amicable. Michael's attorney read it, laughed, and tossed it in the garbage. He presented Beth and her attorney with Michael's demands. Full custody of the kids, 60% of the money in the bank. He gives his retirement and investments, and 50-50 split of the house. He was also asking for alimony and child support. Now remember, Beth has a career as well. And he took the lower paying job to appease her. So obviously now she probably makes more money. Well, Beth was furious. She was convinced that Michael would fold. She did not expect him to fight back. Surprise! Because no doubt Michael had been so worn down throughout their marriage, she wore the pants and it was her way or the highway. A place that no man should ever be. But Michael had it in him. And I'm glad you gave him a kick in the ass. He needed it. That is a true friend. In the end, Michael won most of what he asked for. He got to keep his entire retirement portfolio, half the savings, and he got alimony from her. I bet she grinded her teeth and bitched every time she had to send a check every month. She thought she was going to leave him broken and unable to fight back when he gave up his high-paying career. She figured he wouldn't have the resources to mount a defense, and she could take him to the cleaners. Well, it completely backfired on her. Since she now made more than he did, she had to pay him. Well, duh, that's how it works. But again, she thought he was just so worn down she could have her way with him. The custody was split 50-50 until the kids were older, when they decided to move in permanently with him. Wonderful. Beth was able to keep the house as long as the kids were living part-time with her. When they left to join Michael, the house was sold and the proceeds split 50-50. Well, I didn't hear from him for a few years. He finally called to let me know that he had remarried and was a father again, this time to a little girl. I would not have recommended he got remarried, for heaven's sake. He already has sons, and after all that, but listen to this part. He went back to his old high-paying position, but he didn't travel nearly as much. He was playing guitar and running again. He had to work hard to keep from getting fat because his wife, a traditional younger woman he met through church, was a great cook. He sent some pictures of his beautiful new wife, adorable baby, and his happy self. He looked 1,000 times better. I was thrilled to see he had replaced the miserable WHORE with someone much younger, sweeter, and better looking who obviously loved him. What an upgrade. It's been over 20 years, and they're still going strong. Oh, okay. Well, obviously, that was a long time ago. I missed that part when I first read it the first time. So I wonder how long he was married to Beth the bitch. But regardless, he started over, guys. I wouldn't recommend getting married again after all that, but what's done is done. Seemingly he's happy. He met a younger woman than Beth, ha ha ha. A more physically beautiful woman than Beth, ha ha ha. And if he's happy with a young girl and a new marriage, I'm happy. I truly hope. But I'm going to express a concern in a minute. As for Beth, okay, this is what we've all been waiting for. I'm rubbing my hands here. As for Beth, her lover, the creep that she destroyed her marriage over, did not go through with divorcing his wife. Wifey apparently forgave her husband and they stayed together. In the end, Beth would end up alone. I guess it was fun for him when there was no real strings attached, but when it was time for him to make good on his promises, they were sweet nothings instead. So much of what you warn men about to look out for is 100% true, SSM. Whenever quote-unquote influencer women whine about where are all the good men, I looked at my friend Michael and realized good men get eaten up by evil women. These women deserve to starve. Keep up the good work. Sincerely, Linda. Well, Linda, or codenamed Linda, I really appreciate your writing in that story. That's a good one. I appreciate all my 4%ers out there, because most women hate my guts, that support the channel. That's great, you know. But my only concern in this whole thing, well, I have a concern that he remarried, but supposedly 20 years, things are good. He seems like he's a new man. Good for him. And again, a younger, more beautiful woman that will really rub salt in the wounds of his ex-wife, Beth. But my concern is that in a scenario like this, a lot of guys, okay, they get divorced from a harpy, but they never learn and fix themselves where they made mistakes. Clearly, Michael came from a very bad family situation. Obviously, he looked like he was starving because he probably never ate. That was probably his reaction to the turmoil in his family life. And obviously, that carried through his life. I really hope that he learned from his mistakes. Clearly, he was a pushover to Beth. I mean, quitting a high-paying job and letting her browbeat him into it, not a smart way to go. Giving up on his hobbies and interests, I mean, he was a total pushover. What happens if his new wife at some point, or if clearly that never happened, but what it could have, that he could have started making the same mistakes. So this is why it's so important, guys, again, having a good male friend, a good male mentor and role model to give you a kick in the pants when you need it. I hope that he learned from his mistakes. Maybe he did. That'd be great. But if he didn't, the same problems could come up down the road, because there's always a honeymoon phase in all new relationships, you know. But then eventually, guys that made mistakes in the past, where they were pushovers, didn't stand up for themselves, didn't check their girl when she was getting out of line, drawing boundaries, enforcing boundaries, they end up in the same freaking place. It sounds like, according to your knowledge, that he's not that way, because, well, he's not super skinny and he's not getting fat, and he seemingly has a good life. So I think that's good. But at the end of the day, guys, this is a great comeback story. It shows even though you can be worn down through a big chunk of your life and make mistakes, you have the opportunity, guys, to turn things around and start over. And there's nothing better when a guy who turns himself around after a bad situation, has the last laugh, and the one that does him wrong, in this case, this guy's ex-wife, her life's a steaming pile of dog crap. I love it. And I also love that the boys, when they were old enough to make the decision, probably tell the judge, I want to live with Dad, they left their mom and went and lived with him. That's fucking cool. But anyhow, great freaking story. So, Linda, my 4%, I appreciate you sending it in. Alright, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Guys, you got a great story you want to share, or a question you want to ask me, or you found a good article you want me to cover, send it my way, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.